Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Lucinda A. Warren, and it's a pleasure to be here virtually with you for the 2013 Online Teaching Conference. I am the Dean of Disabled Student Services here at Cerritos College, and I'm happy to present with my colleague, Dr. Cynthia Alexander.
Hi, I'm happy to be here with you also.
Our presentation today is going to be covering quality captioning. It's easier than you think. And we will be covering what is quality captioning, how to produce it, why captioning is important, what laws govern captioning in higher education, who benefits from captioning, and what is captioning. And then Cynthia will be providing you with an overview of how to actually produce captioning. Okay. So as we take a look at quality captioning, it's all about accessibility. And why we consider accessibility in captioning our videos is to provide a consideration for three factors. The first is that equal rights provides access for all individuals and doesn't discriminate in case of a user on the opposite side as a student who would not be able to access the information on a video. It also includes accessibility from the standpoint that our students come from a wide range of backgrounds, multiculturally, and are very diverse learners. And captioning also supports those students who come from and may have English as a second language or would probably need to have a better understanding of vocabulary building. And also it's good teaching practices for better pedagogy so that we acknowledge the importance of different learners and incorporate the concepts of universal design for learning so that all students can benefit from captioning. In a recent Dear Colleague letter, the Office for Civil Rights in June of 2010 provided an important interpretation that moved colleges and universities into assuring that information and technology was accessible for all students. The Dear Colleague letter outlines very clearly what the role of the college is and how to make their all of their information accessible through the use of technology, which includes captioning of audio-visual materials. Of course, the Office of Civil Rights provides oversight for assuring that all institutions of higher learning are complying with many laws. The two federal laws that particularly apply to our colleges and universities is the Americans with Disabilities Act, and secondly, the Rehabilitation Act. And the Rehabilitation Act includes two sections, Section 504 and Section 508. And of course, California has its own interpretations, and we'll talk more about that. The ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, and Section 504 provides information to include accessibility as an accommodation. And if a student has a barrier created by their disability, an accommodation provides the services and support to overcome whatever that barrier might be to allow students to access the instructional environment. It's very individualized and it's based particularly on that student. The same applies with the Americans with Disabilities Act as it relates to employment and other public services to ensure that the campus is accessible for all individuals who may be trying to access information and technology. These are the two federal legislation that provide very specific guidelines and are individual in nature. In Section 508, which is part of the Rehabilitation Act, Section 508 was standards that were added in 2001 that specifically had amendments for the federal legislation that included electronic and information technology access. It provides the guidelines for institutions to follow, and in our case, as most institutions of higher education, we receive federal funds and therefore provide access under Section 508 as well as Section 504. The California legislation that guides what we do as far as Information and Technology Access is Senate Bill 105. And Senate Bill 105 incorporates all of the principles outlined in Section 508. It was passed in September of 2002. And as you can see, we have been needing to provide these services as of January 1st, 2003. So it's been almost a decade that Senate Bill 105 applies to the California Community College, and that we should be providing accessibility to electronic and technology information. Specific information regarding our California Government Code, the existing Senate Bill 105 that guides the principles in providing access under Section 508 was originally developed to include a way in which individuals with disabilities can ensure their accessibility to employment and successful gainful employment. And Section 508 provides the guidelines which with higher education must comply. What's the difference between Section 504 and 508? It's two sections within the same act, and Section 504 relates specifically to address the individual with a disability and providing them with the accommodations or the services that they might need to overcome any barriers created by their disability. The important aspect of Section 504 is that it addresses the individual and their disability. It's very prescriptive in nature and applies to that one time and that one particular student in our learning environment. Section 508 allows for access based on an infrastructure, and the infrastructure establishes the framework by which campuses can set up their electronic and technology so that it is accessible for any student at any time. It doesn't anticipate what the student's needs might be. It states a proactive measure by which then the infrastructure allows for access. In the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, Section 504 is setting up what the individual needs. And in higher education, usually it's the Disability Services Office that assesses what the student needs might be for their particular course or access to particular services. They have an interactive process with the student that provides information and verifies the disability and then determines what types of accommodations would be needed. With access as it relates to Section 508, accessibility is a proactive measure. Campuses need to take into consideration accessibility and how it relates to anyone who might be accessing those services or information. Websites need to be accessible. All campus courseware, course management systems, all need to be accessible in advance in anticipating that someone with a disability may need to use those services or access the information. Campuses should also be proactive in assuring that any product with technology, software, or other technology access services are accessible for all individuals, and that contracts or purchasing should assure that what they buy for the campus is accessible, and that each person, whether you're a faculty member, administrator, or a service provider, takes some role in being proactive in assuring that what is established in websites or online courses, videos that may be shown in the classroom or in an online course is accessible. It has to be proactive and is thought of in advance. So to give you a specific example of a situation, and in reference to the application of Section 504, a deaf student might know that a video is being shown in her class and that it's not captioned, and therefore would request the Disability Services assistance to work with their instructor to then establish and getting the video produced with captions. Or the video might not be shown and another in its place to allow for captioning. It's usually something that is taken into consideration after the fact when the student has registered for the class. On the other hand, in setting up the infrastructure, as 508 determines, is that there doesn't need to be a specific request by a particular individual, but the infrastructure itself assures that accessibility is there for the deaf student or for any student who might be needing to access information and use the technology. New videos that might be developed may not have captioning, and therefore those need to be captioned either post-production or in the process of getting a course ready to go online. The comparisons between Section 504 and 508 is to include that the individual student under Section 504 is very specific to the interactive process that the Disabled Student Services Office works together, or in the case of ADA, works with human resources if an employee needs accommodations. It's very individual in nature and is specific to an access point in time. It's where 508 ends. Section 508 is the beginning point, that accessibility is what's taken into consideration first, that there's no specific request for an accommodation, that we're establishing a curb cut, so to say, or an open door, so that anyone who might need to have access to the course that's online or a particular website is accessible, and that that particular environment can handle all types of individuals that may need accessibility in return. It's the beginning point of the infrastructure that Section 508 really covers, and it's before a specific student may have other requests that then covered by Section 504. In reference specifically to videos, Section 508 that states that all training and informational videos need to be provided with in a format that contains speech or audio information other than in the video itself. So taking the video and providing either captions that are open or closed. And by that we mean a caption that is open for anyone to see, or a closed caption that allows the user to turn it on and off. It's interpreted that videos must be captioned before the classroom or the course is set up online. Uncaptioned videos cannot be purchased, and that by purchasing a new video that's going to be used in an online course, that we assure that those videos are captioned so that there can be a seamless transition for the user to be able to turn those captions on. Under Section 508, it requires accessibility whether or not it's known that a specific student is enrolled in your class and would be required to use that caption. So with reference to captions, we're always looking at what language is spoken. It's from a standpoint of the video, it's that it's not related to translation directly into English. Subtitles are usually considered when there's a language translation. Captions include more than just word for word. It identifies all or auditory content, such as slamming of doors, barking dogs, laughter, and it provides more meaning to those individuals who cannot hear the content of the video, to understand who's speaking, where a directional noise is coming from, so that it incorporates it into the time slot of the video. In depth, taking a look at our captioning, the raw footage is in many instances, if it's going to have just a single use purpose, it's restricted in nature and isn't going to be used in a course or instructional format, it does not need to be captioned. But if it's going to be something that is going to be used for a instructional purpose, it's important to have the captions, and that in most instances a transcript is not sufficient because it doesn't usually identify with the specific video or the visual content as to what is taking place on screen. If you're just producing an audio podcast, of course a transcript is sufficient. Webcasts can be captioned in-house or can be sourced outside and produced. It's something that is available through the Distance Educational Learning Captioning Grant, and is something that can be provided upon request. So this is a resource. We've included the website for you, and we'll include it again at the very end of our presentation. The Distance Education and Captioning and Transcription Grant access includes both online as well as hybrid courses, and it's free to all California community colleges. Podcasts, as I mentioned earlier, are audio only, and just a transcript would suffice. Anything that has audio or video needs to be synchronized to the video portion and should include captioning. YouTube, yes, you can. And Cynthia will be providing more information about how to caption YouTube videos. It's something that can be easily done, and we'll be able to provide you with more information.
Okay, this is my section. Again, I'm Dr. Cynthia Alexander, and I am only going to be talking about adding captions to YouTube videos, and this is in the event that you own them. This is not adding captions to videos that somebody else owns. These are ones that you have created. Okay, so the first thing you would do is you would go to YouTube and sign in. When you do, first of all, before I even go there, I want to talk about having a script file. It is so important that you have a script file. You should write your script and read from your script. You want to probably post the script up high so that if you're doing a web camera, it looks like you're talking into the webcam. But you want to do this to ensure that your video flows, that you don't have a lot of ahs and ands and ums. You can create the script using any word processing program such as Word, but to upload it into YouTube or most other caption creation software, the file must be saved as plain text. That's a TXT file. Just a quick let you know, to do this in Word, after you type your script, you're going to click on File, Save As. In the Save As dialog box under Format, scroll down, select Plain Text, click Save, and then you'll be taken to another window. In that, you're going to click on Other Ending and select Unicode 6. This is going to remove any hidden HTML code, and it's going to allow the text to be totally clean. That's the only way you can upload a script file into YouTube. Note that if you don't create your video using a script, you will need to go back through the video and type word for word what you have said in order to create a good caption file. As many of you may know, YouTube does have a built-in captioning mode, but the results you see in the captions might surprise you. I had a YouTube translate a video I made. It was an introduction video, and in it I said something, I have been teaching online for several years, and it came out, I have been teaching homicide for several years. So you want to not use their caption. Anyway, there were so many errors in what it came back, the YouTube automatic captioning, that I spent more time cleaning up the captions than it took me to retype the script. So what I ended up having to do was deleting, listen to a few words, type it, start the video, listen to a few words. It was just a pain. So the thing to do is to have a script and use a script. So with that being said, go to YouTube and sign in. So you're going to locate your uploaded video in YouTube, and you do that by clicking on the down arrow next to Edit, and then you select Captions. You're going to upload your transcript file into either the video transcript. You can type it directly in there, or you can click on the Upload Transcript. When you do, your transcript will go into that video transcript window. And then you're going to click on Sync. The transcript file is going to sync, and it may take a while. It depends on how long the video transcript file is and how long the video is. And while it's being performed, it's going to tell you that the transcript file, the sync, is in progress. Just a note that if the syncing seems to be taking a long time, you can try just clicking on the Start button for the video, or maybe refreshing the window. And if it's not complete, it's going to ask you to wait, but otherwise the video and the caption will play. So what you end up with is actually a subtitled video. So what you have to do after that is click on Edit the Video. You're going to choose the word English, and then you're going to see the transcript file with the timing options all set in. So what you want to do is then go back and insert any noises other than the talking, as Lucinda said. So if there's laughing, if a door slamming, a dog barking, something like that going on, you just simply type it in, and then what you end up having, and you can type in who's saying it. If it's a conversation between two or more people, you can put in who's saying what. So all of this can be done after you've synced your file. And that's it. When you're finished, you have captioning for your video.
We'd like to thank you for listening to our presentation today, and we've provided you with our email and some resources. As we mentioned, the Distance Education Captioning and Transcription Grant is available. Do go to their website and check out their information, and you'll find it very informative. And of course, Cynthia and I are happy to answer any questions. We've included our email. Thank you today for the captionist who's provided captioning for our presentation. And thank you to ET with CCC for assisting us with our presentation. We hope you've enjoyed it, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you.